Hi, this is Wiley Sharp with Denison Yachting here in the beautiful Virgin Islands, and I want to do a quick video on the cost of depreciation in owning a catamaran. There's a lot of information out there on the internet, some of it good, some of it not so good, and I just want to go over some of the factors that impact the depreciation on a catamaran. A lot of people ask the question and they want an answer of, oh, your cat will depreciate 10% a year, 5% a year, 20% a year. The reality is there's just no simple answer. There's just a number of different factors that'll impact the depreciation on a catamaran. One of the things I always tell my clients when working with a buyer is you don't make your money when you sell your catamaran, you make your money when you buy your catamaran. And basically what that means is if you buy your boat right, you're going to minimize your depreciation when you sell it. And it's always really important when going into a catamaran to kind of have an idea of your exit strategy, or have a rough idea of what you're going to look at in 3 to 5 years time when you sell the boat. Because the reality is people usually don't own a catamaran more than 5 years. So just kind of give you an example, the Leopard 46, which as many of you know, is a boat I absolutely love. I mean, I've done Atlantic crossings on them, sailed them quite a bit. I'll just kind of give you some real numbers there on a specific boat to kind of give you the idea. So that boat, when it was new, went into the moorings charter fleet. It cost the owner $729,000. In 2011, when it came out of the charter fleet, the second owner paid $330,000 for the boat in 2011. So that means the original owner took over 50% depreciation hit in 5 years, which is pretty significant in my opinion. The second owner just sold the boat at the end of 2016, so he also owned the boat for 5 years, and he actually sold it for $320,000. So basically, the second owner, when he purchased that boat, he bought it at the right time. He bought it in 2011 when the economy was still a little bit slow, recovering from the recession, and he bought it at a time when there was a bunch of Leopard 46s coming onto the market out of the moorings yacht charters, and not necessarily a whole heck of a lot of buyers there. Those same boats are selling 330, 340 that many years later, and that's because those people bought the boats right. There's another boat, same make model, Leopard 46, it's a 2010, that I know some folks, they paid $450,000 for the boat last year, which was significantly over market value. And unfortunately for them, the market has softened on Leopard 46s over the last 12 months, and their boat's probably only worth about $330,000, $350,000. So if they wanted to sell the boat, they would take a pretty significant hit in depreciation over that first year. And that's where the saying comes into play. You don't make your money when you sell your boat, you make your money when you buy your boat. Another factor that comes into play on depreciation with pre-owned boats, or really any boat, is the currency exchange. As an American citizen, we're always buying in US dollars, and the strength or weakness of the dollar has a huge impact on the depreciation of our boats. An example of that is the Saba 50 costs about 850,000 euros well equipped. If you bought a Saba 50 back in 2013 when it was a new model, the euro was as strong as 1.37 dollars to the euro. So they were able to buy $1.37 for every €1. So if you bought a Fontaine Pajot Saba 50 in 2013, in US dollars, that worked out to be about $1.16 million. In 2015, it was down to about $1.05, the euro. And so if you were to buy that same boat for 850,000 euros, you're paying about $892,000 for the boat. And so just in depreciation alone, that's about a 23% difference in change. And so the impact on depreciation is if you bought that boat in 2013 and you wanted to sell it in 2015, you're going to be competing against new boats because somebody's going to look at your boat and say, okay, they're asking X for it, whereas I could get a brand new boat for Y. And so currency also plays a huge factor in the depreciation, at least for us American yacht owners. Another big thing that impacts depreciation is kind of brand recognition and prestige, if you want to call it that. If you go with a boat like a Fontaine Pajot or a Lagoon, a Leopard, a Privilege catamaran, a PDQ, Gemini catamarans, I mean, some of those well-known brands, there's established markets for those boats. So if you buy a boat, let's say a Lagoon 440, and you pay $350,000 for the boat, in a couple years' time, you're going to have a pretty good or pretty easy time getting a good portion of your money out. If you go with one of those kind of one-off odd like South African designs, like a Royal Cape 53 as an example, and you try to sell it down the road, you're going to face, I think, a bit sharper depreciation curve. There are, exceptions to the smaller builders, Privilege catamarans being one, PDQ and Antares being another. I mean, those are both prime examples of boats that have pretty much I don't want to say bottomed out depreciation wise, but they're really holding their value because they're quite desirable boats that were built to a really high standard. I mean, one of my favorite stories is from Catherine at Privilege Catamarans, or she was with Privilege. She was there for about 25 years, and I was chatting with her at a boat show a few years ago, and she said the Privilege 65, which they only built 11 of them, actually costs more now today on the brokerage market than when they built that boat new back in the 90s. So yeah, so brands are very important for minimizing your depreciation. Condition is also a very, very big thing. If you maintain your boat, it's not necessarily going to add value, but it's going to help it hold its value significantly better and make it far more attractive when it comes to sell. I mean, it's not uncommon on the brokerage market where you'll see a catamaran sit for a year and a half. And the reason for that is the condition's just not there based on where they're pricing it at. And all you're going to see is just further depreciation over that year that it's on the market where you're not using it, you're not enjoying it, and unfortunately, in most cases, not maintaining it. What I would say when it comes to maintaining your boat is when you go to put it on the market, make sure you've got it in a good place where everything works, it's clean, it's been detailed, everything's been gone through and everything's in good working order. But I would also recommend against things like putting new sails on the boat, putting a new generator, upgrading the electronics, unless you absolutely have to, because you're not going to get that money back out when you sell it. So those are kind of some of the factors that impact depreciation on catamarans. If you have any questions, if you'd like a market report on any make and model, please don't hesitate to send me an email, leave a comment down below, and if you like what I have to say, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks and have a good day.